Hello and welcome to my latest weekly video news from Madison's. Well, there is turmoil in the global markets at the moment, isn't there? Those tariffs that President Trump is introducing are affecting global supply chains and markets are crashing. So huge values being wiped off and a global recession being talked about. Um, People therefore might feel, is that going to have a disastrous effect on the UK property market? It's funny actually. I mean, the biggest thing that affects the UK property market is generally consumer sentiment. So how people are feeling about things, and it's really rather irrational. They tend to pick up on news stories, boards going up, chatter from their friends, and it can self-perpetuate this feeling of whether the market is doing well or not. And we were in relatively stable waters with the market. So it would just be interesting to see if that consumer sentiment slightly affects people's confidence in the market and makes them evaluate their decisions. I've tended to find from every other sort of global crisis that has happened, there have been a few buyers who have got the jitters and thought now is not the time to buy. And that has actually proven to be a very costly mistake, because then what tends to happen is once that crisis has passed and the market corrects, it booms again, and then they are left out. I remember having a few, probably about three price negotiations in those early months of the 2020 start of the pandemic. And boy, must those buyers regret pulling out, because the market was still a little bit tricky at the beginning of 2020. And then, of course, then it escalated. And one particular property I can remember, we were under offer at about 1.2 million, and a buyer pulled out, demanded £100,000 off the price to 1.1. My seller and I refused on that basis, and we sold it about 7 months later for 1.35 million. So anyway, yes, so it'll be interesting to see if that kind of irrational sense of fear affects the property market. Generally, I find people are they move on with their lives. They hatches, matches, dispatches. They get married, they have babies, they divorce, they move because of their job, they downsize, they want to help their children get out of the property market. They're a big mix of factors. And in Tunbridge Wells, we sit in a wonderfully insulated, very desirable area, thanks to our beautiful architecture, green open spaces, excellent schooling, and fabulous transport links. So let's see, one good effect that it will have, believe it or not, will probably be on mortgages. So Sonia Swaps is one of the interbank lending rates, looks at what banks lend to each other, and that has just revised its 3 to 5 year outlook a bit lower. The prediction was that mortgage rates would probably end this year about sort of 4.25%. That's now been hedged down to 3.75. Bank of England will do a few more cuts, because if that recession starts to grip, they will do everything they can to help what goes into our pockets. We might feel it more expensive in other areas that we're trying to buy thanks to these tariffs, but mortgages will certainly come down. And when mortgage rates are coming down, that can be a great stimulus to the market. So let us wait and see. Interesting though, little side story from you. So the international market, people who are moving to the UK from overseas, was at its high in 2009. About 8% of all buyers were international, and that has massively dropped over recent years. Now stands at about 1%. The largest portion of international buyers has been Europeans, and understandably, since Brexit, that has heavily reduced. And now they have massively reduced in terms of the numbers of properties they're buying. But there has been a huge increase in North Americans coming to our country. So that was at 7% a few years ago. Now at 14% of all international buyers are from North America. They're obviously enjoying the calm waters of our beautiful country. So anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. We'll keep an eye on things, and as ever, keep you updated with everything that is going on. I had to look at my notes then to think what else I was going to talk to you about. Retrofitting. So retrofitting, complete divergent now, no segue into this at all. Well, maybe actually, let's say if your purse is starting to feel a little bit affected, maybe you consider retrofitting, which is making your home more energy efficient. So there's a big rise of this at the moment. masses of people wanting to improve the energy efficiency of their house as energy prices rise. And RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, has produced a guide to retrofitting, recognising what a big and important point this has become. The government has a target for us to become a net carbon zero nation by 2030, and at the moment we need about 500,000 homes a year to go on some heavy retrofitting measures to achieve that. That will need to rise to about a million houses a year by 2030 to try and get close to that net zero target. The things the guide looks at: heating, appliances, ventilation and insulation. So that's a free guide. If you want to make your home more energy efficiency, head to the RICS website and you can download a copy. A lovely property that we have just brought to market in the heart of the town. Everything is on your doorstep. It's this lovely property in Cadogan Gardens. Cadogan Gardens is a bit of a jewel. It's tucked away off Calverley Street. And we've had one property on the market there that's under offer. We've got another one available, and then this one as well. Slightly different prices, slightly different layouts, slightly different attributes of them. This one that we've just launched has got a really nice side return, which gives you great storage. It's a really generous property, lovely outside space, and on at a guide of 800,000. The other one that we've got is tucked away further inside the development, so set further to the back, just been completely refurbed, end of chain, and that is on at a guide of 750,000. So yeah, two great properties if you want to embrace town centre living. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye bye.